Hello, everybody. It's a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. And today, my co-hostess is the pearl of the paranormal, the crown jewel of our setting here on Darkness Radio. We call her, we got to call her the matron of Michigan, I guess. Is that what we call her? The matron?
Now it makes me sound like I'm 80 years old.
Oh, no. Okay, I won't do that.
Matron.
The okay, take two. Okay, I screwed it up then. I'm sorry. All right, she's Mallie Fox.
Yeah.
Mallie.
Just how about a song like "Hello, my shot," "Hello, my baby," "Hello, my son," "Hello, my Clementine," or however that goes. No.
Ragtime gal.
Yeah, ragtime gal. Little frog with a top hat.
Michigan J Frog.
Yeah. La la la.
I'll call you Michigan J Frog from now on. How's that? It's much better. I don't know. I was looking for alliteration and I slipped. I slipped in it big
First,
time.
I sound like a prostitute from the old time days.
No, I got you in a rocking chair and
like the saloon.
Yeah. Now I got you in a Cracker Barrel rocker on the front porch.
Chicken and dumplings, though. Ooh, numb.
Oh, right? I could go for some right now.
Yeah.
Well, evidently where you're at, you do need chicken and dumplings in order to stay.
I know, it's freezing here.
It's wonderful here. I told you it was
know.
Before we hit the air.
I know, I can see the sun shining through your window. I know. I got clouds.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. I was outside. I was sitting outside before we taped today, and I was hanging out with my little cardinal buddy out in the yard.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's good luck.
That cardinal's been hanging out with me lately. Just hanging. I think I'm destined.
Or it's a spirit.
It could be a spirit.
Which way you want to look at it. It's either good luck or it's a spirit hanging out.
Cardinal keeps flapping its wing and going, "Ghost behind you, ghost." Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with that, but
it's a positive thing no matter what.
Yeah.
Which way you look at it.
It keeps hopping up behind the bush and looking at me.
Yeah.
I keep the seeds filled for the.
That's
like,
good.
Food's over there, buddy. Yeah, I keep telling food's over there, but it keeps looking at me like you're gonna go soon. No, I don't.
Meanwhile, I'm finding like a torn bird wing in my backyard.
Oh,
I found 2 of them. Yeah, it's pretty gross. One was in my dog's mouth, and then the other one was just kind of by a tree, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, no.
I know. Dirk's like, what are you doing? Because I had a stick, and I was like flipping it. He's like, why don't you just pick it up with a glove? I'm like, nope, I'll just keep trying to get it with the stick and flip it.
You buy one of them things from Home Depot, the little gripper.
Yeah.
Gripper claws. Trigger that the old people have. Then I can call you the matron of Michigan. You got one of them little gripper claw thingies.
Yep. Oh, no, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Old people use to get cans off the top shelf.
Yeah. Or I think Luke has one that has like I think it used to be like the Hulk hand that he got like at the fair or something, or just kind of grip it. Yeah. I'm always finding remnants of animals in our backyard.
Jeez, is the dog that?
No, it's not our dog. We've got problems with, just critters with like, we've got coyotes and just other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have hawks and things. So
you see,
we're always finding bits and parts of things. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's a regular demolition derby in your bed.
Plus, we had a big storm, so I think things are falling out of trees.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Fun.
Well, speaking of demolition derby, boy, we got a show for you today for Supernatural News. We do have a Parashare to share with you today, which is good. That's always good. Tracy has written us today, so we have her Parashare. Also, we've got plenty of interstellar news for you today, Mallie. You know what? Our guest tomorrow is very interesting. Old friend of ours joins us tomorrow, and we'll be talking about. Are you ready for this, Mallie? I know you're going to love this subject.
Is it AI?
No.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about aliens in the end times tomorrow.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, how do you like them apples?
Mm.
It's going to be very interesting. In fact, Dr. L.A. Marzulli will be with us tomorrow.
Okay.
And he has a new book out, Rungs of Disclosure. And I've been knee deep in this book for the last day and a half. And let me tell you, very interesting stuff. And he's tying together all the. In fact, I have my first story today is about the latest congressional hearings. He ties together everything with the congressional hearings, everything with these videos you've been seeing, everything along with a theory as to what these aliens are actually doing here on Earth, and it's fascinating.
Okay, cool.
Along with the end times and what their real agenda is.
Oh.
Yeah. Kind of stuff that'll keep you up at night.
Huh. So I won't be tuning in tomorrow.
No, I think I'll probably skip that one. But the rest of you can tune in tomorrow. It'll be a good show. So, yeah. With that, let's kick it off, shall we? And talk about understanding UAP and the congressional hearing, which offered a little bit of a briefing on UFOs. Now, prominent figures in the UFO community offered their insight into government officials at the briefing, or two government officials rather, at the briefing on Thursday, last Thursday, that is. The event, which was headed up by Representative Anna Paulina Luna and featured talks by scientists and UFO researchers, included Harvard scientist Avi Loeb and former AA tip head Luis Elizondo, was aimed at briefing members of Congress about the UFO phenomena and its implications. Now, speaking at the event, Loeb emphasized the need for further funding to improve UFO detection and stated that there are objects in the sky that we don't understand. That's in quotes. He asked for $1 billion to be assigned to UFO tracking and monitoring. I say good luck with that, with all the cuts going on right now.
I'll do it for $1 billion.
I think any of us would for $1 billion. Another speaker at the hearing was Tim Galladay, who is a retired Navy Rear Admiral who slammed an alleged disinformation campaign that was being perpetuated by the U.S. Intelligence Committee, or community, rather. He maintained that the U.S. Navy had a treasure trove of data pertaining to the phenomena, that it has not officially been released, and called on the White House to publish that data. Physicist Dr. Eric Davis, meanwhile, told the briefing that the U.S. government had been long operating a secretive program designed to recover and reverse engineer crashed UFOs. He claimed that the program was initiated in 1944 and that a great deal of the technology recovered from UFO crash sites had been moved to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Intelligence community expert Christopher Mellon also maintained that there had been almost 1,800 reports of UAP by military personnel within the last few years alone. Dozens of cases remain unsolved, he added, even those dating back to the 1980s. There is a video of the entire hearing, which I will post in the description of this program, so you can actually check out that hearing for yourself. Interestingly enough, I'm going to talk to LA about this hearing because he does mention a lot of these different hearings in that book, Rungs of Disclosure, and he mentions a lot of these different players and disinformation within the government. And he mentions a few of these players in particular. We'll talk about some of these players tomorrow in the program. So, yeah, I'm curious as to what he thought about this latest hearing and what they actually had to say, because he's of a mind that there is and a lot of people are, that there's a shadow government within our government, and that it has to do with the military industrial complex, and that the military industrial complex is the one that is keeping the truth about aliens away from the public. And that these hearings are a bit of a circus. Just, trot everything out to you and give you little bits and pieces, but not give you the entire truth.
Gotcha.
But it seems like a little bit of headway might have been made yesterday. Some people saying, there's more out there. Why don't we just get down to the heart of it? The other thing that LA says, and I'll just give you this little tidbit and teaser for tomorrow, is that there are actual, basically, not that you don't already know this, that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, that honestly, the government doesn't know what the military industrial complex is doing, but there are honest, good people in government that are trying to get down to the truth of what the military industrial complex is doing. And that's what some of these people in Congress are trying to do. And that this disconnect, this is slowly growing together, that they are trying to find out and are getting some headway. But he does hint that there are people within the government, our actual government, that are in cahoots with the military industrial complex. And we might get one or two of those names tomorrow. So it's an interesting book, very interesting book. So, yeah. Meanwhile, a declassified CIA file describes the locations of alleged alien bases, Mallie. The document pertains to a secretive remote viewing experiment designed to gain intelligence on military targets. Between 1977 and 1995, the CIA had been heavily invested in experiments involving remote viewing, or a type of alleged psychic protection enabling someone to view things over long distances using only the power of their own mind. Known collectively as Project Stargate, these experiments were mainly aimed at acquiring information for military and domestic intelligence purposes, but could be used for other pursuits as well. Examples of some of the more out there observations reported by remote viewers can be found in declassified CIA files, which document many of their sessions. One such document, entitled Description of Personnel Associated ET Bases, concerns alleged alien bases located not only on the Earth, but on other worlds within our own solar system as well. The remote viewer has also described various types of operatives working these facilities. All personnel, and this is a quote here, all personnel observed at this base on November 20th of 1986 appeared to be no different than native Earthlings, they wrote, concerning a base on Titan, which is a moon of Saturn. There were two male technician types sitting at a control panel of some kind. Behind them stood an attractive female with brown shoulder-length hair, wearing a pale green lab coat or smock. She appeared to be in some sort of supervisory role. Another section of the file referred to a base on or inside Mount Hayes in Alaska. There appeared to be two types of entities associated with this site, the remote viewer recalled. The two entities located outside of the structure were accomplishing some sort of routine task, unable to make contact with them or gain information of any sort. The third record concerned an alleged base that was either in South America or Africa. There appeared to be two types of entities associated with this site also, the document states. The first had a very large, round-shaped head on a slender neck, very inhuman in appearance, almost robot-like, unable to make any contact with this being. The other entity was almost human-like in appearance. His face was devoid of any hair. His complexion was very pale. Facial features were very indistinct, with the exception of a sharp, slender nose. This entity seemed friendly enough and appeared to be aware of my presence, said the remote viewer. As tends to be typical of such claims, however, no concrete evidence that any of these facilities actually exist has ever been forthcoming. Kind of interesting. That's for sure. So I got to ask you this, Mallie. One, if you had the ability to remote view, would you? And two, how much stock do you put in a story like this when you hear something like this?
If I could remote view, I probably would. I would try it. And I think that there is a possibility of it because I think that there's enough credibility of people. I mean, there are stories of the United States, of Russia, that they were doing it, during the war, of doing, for to try and find out, like where where bases were, and you know what I mean, during like World War II and you know what I mean, they were doing remote viewing to try and get ahead, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
regarding wars and stuff. So I think that people were successful with remote viewing.
I tend to think so too. That
Yeah.
they've had some success with it, and the CIA has used it.
Yeah. I don't know about aliens though, like going to different planets and stuff. I'm not sure about that though.
I always question it a little bit when they say, "Oh, we were at a Titan and we were here and we were there."
Yeah.
I think a psychic, again, I say psychic, but people say, "Well, you don't need to be psychic in order to remote view." I don't know that that's true. I think the people who are remote viewing and seeing some of these faraway places, I think do have a bit of a psychic ability. But I think the psychics that are seeing things on other planets, that are reaching out to other worlds, I wonder if they're not being led astray by something else, right?
Uh-huh.
If their minds aren't being taken for a ride a little bit and being shown an illusion.
Yeah.
They're not being led astray so that, they're not seeing something that's not the truth. So that it like a bit of a propaganda campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that they don't see what they're meant to be seeing, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
for instance, if my commander says to me, I want you to get an idea of what's behind this barracks in the Soviet Union. So here's your target. And they give me an envelope. So I go to look at what's in the envelope. Well, if the Soviets are wanting to counter program, and they don't want me to see what's behind the barracks, they have me see something that's in an Egyptian pyramid instead, that type of dissuasion in order to see it, that type of counter programming. Um, I wonder if it's not the same with aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to get a look at the inside of their spaceship, but instead they send you to some remote part of the galaxy and you're looking at, the inside of a sun or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting thought.
Have you seen that video where they had the psychic do a remote viewing and she was there at the time that supposedly Jesus was put on the cross and she's like all messed up and she won't talk about it?
No,
Yeah, there's some video that I came across and she's just messed up. She won't talk about it, but she did a remote viewing where he was put up on the cross.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I came across it not too long ago. Yeah, where she was there supposedly.
See, that's one thing I would love to remote view. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to go back and remote view some of the things that happened in the Bible.
Yeah.
That I would like to see.
Yeah, but she wouldn't talk about it.
Really.
Yeah.
I suppose, for someone of faith, it's overwhelming in emotion,
Yeah,
right?
and you can see it in her face too.
Yeah. Yeah. To actually see that happen is it's
Mm-hmm.
got to be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, speaking of overwhelming, time to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Here's one that may keep you awake at night. We're going to talk about something that uh, a real life close encounters scientist, otherwise known as Jacques Vallée, has come out and said. And he said that aliens are killing people, Mallie.
Oh.
Yeah. Veteran UFO researcher Jacques Vallée maintains that there have been several cases of aliens killing humans. Well, evidently they've seen Independence Day.
Yeah. Or I was thinking of that one that's kind of cartoony, but now I can't remember where it's like the shoot. Something from Mars. Mars.
Oh, Mars Attacks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where they
yeah,
got the weird voice and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yep, yep.
That's what comes to my head.
They've seen any of these movies, or probably not. One of the most recognizable names in the field of ufology, Jacques Vallée, has spent decades researching the topic and was even a contributor to the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book. He was also the inspiration behind the character of Claude Lacombe, the French scientist in Steven Spielberg's iconic 1970s alien visitation movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Now 85 years old, Vallée maintains that there have been several documented cases of people being killed by hostile extraterrestrial visitors and that governments have been covering up the truth for years. His quote is this: I can tell you that in my files, some of which I contributed to the database of, there are at least half a dozen well-documented cases where the injuries that resulted in death were deliberate.
Ooh.
Yeah. The files in question were put together by Valet himself as part of a secretive Pentagon-linked UFO study pertaining to the Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program, or AAWSAP. You know, if he just took and reversed a couple of those letters, he would have had AA WASP. I don't know why some of these people aren't more clever with their anagrams.
Right.
Right.
It would just be easier for everybody.
It would be. While the specifics of the alleged cases of human deaths or injuries caused by UFOs remain under wraps, it is believed that several hundred such examples occurred in Brazil. Valet maintains that the truth is being kept from the general public because if word of hostile extraterrestrial visitors was to get out, it could unravel the fabric of society. If we want to disclose something as simple as saying, yes, we acknowledge the phenomena and it seems to be from space, we would have to answer 100 other questions. That this is not the end of the story, Valet recently told KLAS. There are religious questions. There is a religious side to all of this, which is going to, again, reflect on tomorrow's topic. Interesting how this is all coming together. How shall I put this? Jacques Vallée is one of those who believes that there's something more to this alien story than what meets the eye.
Yeah.
And it's, believe me, this is all going to unfold tomorrow, and it's quite the interesting story. But some of you may kind of roll your eyes when you hear it tomorrow, and some of you may go, oh, yeah, it all kind of makes sense. There's a former guest of our show that will be mentioned as well tomorrow. And her story actually kind of rattled a few of you when you heard it. I think was it Karen Wilkinson who was on our program last year and told her story, her abduction story. It was quite powerful. And she's been through the ringer when it comes to health issues. And believe it or not, it was L.A. Marzulli, our guest tomorrow, who helped Karen get through her issues with being abducted. Yeah, it's we'll get more to it tomorrow, but there's a lot involved with tomorrow's show, but aliens killing people. Now, here's the other thing that I was going to bring up with this article, and that's this. One of the things that LA brings up in the book that we'll talk about tomorrow is the idea of us being conditioned. Jacques Vallée says, you know, if people found out that aliens were killing people, well, there'd be mass panic. But L.A. Marzulli brings up the fact that in 2017, the fact that, you know, it was first brought up that these alien crafters zipping around on Earth, and it really doesn't make much of a difference. Our lives go on as you know, as they normally do. Nobody really reacts to it. The church doesn't react to it. In fact, when Pope Francis, God rest his soul, is asked about aliens, he says, well, I'd gladly baptize them if they came to the Vatican. So the church doesn't react to it. It doesn't seem like anybody really reacted much to Tic Tacs flying in the sky, right? And then Ellie brings up another point, again, which we'll discuss on tomorrow's show, which is, have we been indoctrinated by Hollywood? So if there have been a few casualties because of aliens, well, oops. Is that kind of like, you know, somebody lost a finger at the meatpacking plant? Is it just a casualty of the business?
Yeah. Or like even, Lord forbid, car accidents. We still drive.
Right. Exactly, Mallie. Yeah. We still drive even though there's accidents on the road. We turn a blind eye to it. We still fly even though there's plane crashes.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
just didn't think about, I mean, if I was to truly sit down and think about abductions and stuff, I'm like, yeah, you hear stories of them harming, but you never think about them actually killing. Like I always think of Travis, is it Travis Walters?
Travis Walton? Yep.
Walton. Yeah, I always think of his story and it's horrendous. But I mean, I never think about like them actually killing. Just kind of they just don't do they're just not nice aliens. You know what I mean?
Tomorrow's
I
show is
shouldn't be laughing, but
going to change your mind.
well, remember I'm not listening.
Oh, that's right. Maybe you should. Maybe you should listen tomorrow.
I want to sleep tomorrow.
Maybe listen early in the day.
I
And
already
then,
have enough trouble handling AI stuff. Why do I want to
just
deal with
listen early in the
alien
day.
stuff?
Okay? Listen in the morning and then take like the day to decompress.
Yeah.
And then maybe, I don't know, some melatonin and then go to
Yeah.
bed. Yeah.
It's like when you watch horror movies during the day when you have daylight, so it's not as bad.
Yeah. Maybe curl up with a nice blankie and a teddy bear at 9 a.m. and listen
Right.
and then a lot of melatonin during the day, and then you'll be able to sleep by the time nighttime comes. Maybe
But then I can't wake up from the nightmares.
Yes.
I'll be so drugged up.
I'm gonna go totally off script here.
Okay.
Intern Yoko had a dream that I had a pet tiger last night.
Oh,
I said, "Are you
that's
kidding?
different.
I'm not even allowed a pet monkey. What
Yeah.
makes you think I'm gonna have a pet tiger?"
I want a pet otter.
Oh,
Otter and a sloth.
oh,
Yeah,
cutest pets ever.
I know. And I want a miniature donkey and I want a Highland. I got a whole list of animals I want.
But then if you keep them all in the backyard, they'll be dead by the morning.
I know. Well, that's just because of the stupid hawk. Small animals just don't survive because of the hawk that we have.
See. But then I started thinking about the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want one now. Because I'm thinking about, like the whole King Ezekiel thing from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
It's pretty boss to walk around with a tiger.
True.
Right? Don't call intern Yoko.
But then that's expensive grocery bill because you have to feed it steak.
That's true. I got to talk to Mike Tyson about this.
Yeah.
He had one.
Yeah, you're going to have to own a butcher shop.
Or follow me on this.
Okay.
Aliens are killing us. Maybe I go kill a few aliens, huh?
There we go.
Feed the tiger alien meat. Just between us.
Yeah.
Got to get even somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with that. There's an article out there just asking the question, how much evidence is enough to prove that extraterrestrial life actually exists? It's an article between, it's a little bit of a article written by a man by the name of Chris Impey. Recent claims concerning the habitability of distant extrasolar worlds have been met with skepticism. Now, the detection of life beyond Earth would be one of the most profound discoveries in the history of science. The Milky Way galaxy alone hosts hundreds of millions of potential habitable planets. Now, astronomers are using powerful space telescopes to look for molecular indicators of biology in the atmospheres of the most Earth-like of these planets. But so far, no solid evidence of life has ever been found beyond the Earth. A paper published, it was pushed as well, in April of 2025, claimed to detect a signature of life in the atmosphere of the planet K2-18b, which we talked about a week or two ago. And while the discovery is intriguing, most astronomers, including the paper's author, aren't ready to claim that means that extraterrestrial life exists. A detection of life would be a remarkable development. The astronomer Carl Sagan used the phrase, "extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence," in regard to searching for alien life. It conveys the idea that there should be a high bar for evidence to support a remarkable claim. Now, the writer of the article claims he's an astronomer who has written a book about astrobiology, and that over his career, he's seen some compelling scientific discoveries, but to reach that threshold of finding life beyond Earth, the result needs to fit several important criteria. Now, there's 3 criteria for a scientific result to represent a true discovery and not be subject to uncertainty and doubt. And he asks the question, how does the claim of life on K2-18b measure up? Well, first, the experiment needs to measure a meaningful and important quality. Researchers observed K2-18b's atmosphere with the James Webb Space Telescope and saw a spectral feature that they identified as dimethyl sulfide. Now, on Earth, dimethyl sulfide is associated with biology, in particular bacteria and plankton in the oceans. However, it can also arise by other means, so this single molecule is not conclusive proof of life. Now, second, the detection needs to be strong. Every detector has some noise from the random motion of electrons. The signal should be strong enough to have a low probability of arising by chance from this noise. The K2-18b detection has a significance of 3 stigma, which means that it has a 0.3% chance or probability of arising by chance. That sounds low, but most scientists would consider that a weak detection. There are many molecules that could create a feature in the same spectral range. The gold standard for scientific detection is 5 stigma, which means the probability of the finding happening by chance is less than 0.00006%. I hope you're following along now. For example, physicists at CERN gathered data patiently for 2 years until they had a 5 stigma detection of the Higgs boson particle, which led to a Nobel Prize 1 year later in 2013. Now, third, a result needs to be repeatable. Results are considered reliable when they've been repeated, ideally corroborated by other investigators or confirmed using a different instrument. For K2-18b, this might mean detecting other molecules that indicate biology, such as oxygen in the planet's atmosphere. Without more and better data, most researchers are viewing the claim of life on K2-18b with skepticism. So they go on to talk a little bit about life on Mars and is there life on Mars, and claims about the universe in general, whether there's life in the universe in general, which is a little more vague as well. I won't get into it as far as that goes, but it's interesting to talk about whether there's life in right next to us, whether it's further out on Mars, and whether it's out in the universe. We can speculate, of course, because it's easy to, right?
Right.
Say, well,
I feel like we always do.
Right. You could say, of course there is, because bacteria floats from outer space and floats into our atmosphere, and there's your alien life, right? Well, that's the simplest way of saying, of course there's alien life. But that's an easy get. It's harder to say, well, little green men have shown up in spaceships and they've landed on the White House lawn and they're demanding our women. That's a harder get to get.
I like how you choose women.
Well, that's the only way they're breeding, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see little green men bending us guys over and getting babies out of it, at least not yet. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Although if they do that and it's caught on Fox News, I still don't know if I'll believe it. That's for you to decide. And finally, in interstellar news, the first of its kind NASA image shows a rover on Mars taken from space. I don't think I read that with the right emphasis on the wrong syllable. But we'll try it. We'll try and read the story and see what it means. A remarkable new image snapped from orbit shows the Curiosity rover trundling across the surface of Mars. When people talk about sending humans to Mars, one aspect that is perhaps not well realized is the sheer isolation of being on the surface of another world, tens or even hundreds of millions of miles from Earth. Oh, I see what they did here. They took a picture. Look at this picture, Mal. That's the rover on the surface of Mars.
Oh, okay.
Dude,
Gotcha. With its little trail.
yeah, it kind of looks like
Okay.
R2-D2 in the Tatooine desert.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a picture from far, far away of the Curiosity rover just traveling along. It's kind of a lonely picture.
Mm-hmm.
Poor little guy. Aw, poor little Curiosity rover. So this isolation was recently brought up into sharp focus, courtesy of NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which managed to snap a picture from space of the Curiosity rover down on the surface. Given how far away from the spacecraft it is, the rover appears as little more than a small black dot with a pair of tire tracks covering around 320 meters, visibly snaking across the ground behind it. If ever a single image managed to capture the isolation of Mars exploration, this is it. Imagine being a part of a manned mission to Mars during which some accident results in you being the only survivor, kind of like in the Ridley Scott movie The Martian, which was the loneliest movie ever, which, by the way, I spent most of it high on oxys. I, too, thought I was farming potatoes on my bed when I was watching it. I was farming the little potatoes on my bed. It's a sad story. I'll stop telling it now. In such a scenario, you would very much be the most isolated human being in the entire universe. While Curiosity is not alone on Mars, there are other rovers, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It will never meet any of the others, meaning it will remain very much on its own until its systems or power supply eventually fails. Boy, this is a sad story.
Yeah.
Just going to die space junk out there, Mallie.
Uh-huh.
It's quite remarkable just what can be captured in just a single image. By the way, I'm going to show it to you one more time here, Mallie. This rover, Curiosity, is going to die alone. Oh, beep, boop, beep, boop. Just going to power down and die a lonely death on a planet far, far away. That's why I don't want to get stuck on Mars. Oh, I do have one more UFO story. Okay, we won't end on that sad note. We'll end on this sad note. How does this sound? Oh, you know what? I have two stories left. I thought I only had one left. My God, I'm not even wondering. You know what? I'm not even counting my UFO stories today. I'm out of it today. You know what? We've got two UFO stories left. With the Pope's passing, Pope Francis's passing, the next Pope will be urged to release UFO files from the Vatican's archives. Do you think the Vatican has UFO archives, first of all, man?
I thought we talked about this last week. I think that we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Huh. Because this is a new story.
Yeah. Because we were talking about this last week because I said they probably did and that they were hiding it.
This story has a date line of, okay.
Yeah, because we were talking about, do we think that they're hiding it? And I said, yes, that they probably are hiding. I think that they are aware that there are. I mean, it might have been, we were talking about the topic. It might not be this actual story.
Interesting.
But we were just talking about that they're probably hiding it because I think that they hide a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, that they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
So
inside.
I think that they are aware that there's aliens and that they're hiding something because they don't want people to think that there's things other than, God. They don't want to deter people from religion.
Believe it or not, this will come up tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It turns out that UFO disclosure advocates are renewing their efforts to request that the Vatican, and in particular Pope Francis's successor, publish any relevant files that might be tucked away in the archives, known officially as the Vatican Apostolic Archive. The collection contains thousands of documents ranging from books and manuscripts to state papers, letters, and even presidential missives. One of the largest and most mysterious collections in the world, documents are stored on many miles of shelving deep beneath the Vatican. Historians and researchers have long sought to gain access to this treasure trove of knowledge, which is thought to contain valuable information on events spanning hundreds of years. More recently, proponents of UFO disclosure have been attempting to gain access to the archive to look for evidence of historical accounts of unidentified flying objects and other similar phenomena. It is hoped that the new pope will make it easier for those with an interest to delving into the archives to do so. Whether or not Francis's successor will prioritize such requests, however, remains to be seen.
I always picture like a gatekeeper, of the archives. Like he has the big key to let you in, like the big gates, like it's like that big heavy noise.
The big
Yeah.
key, the skeleton key.
Yeah.
Puts it in the big lock like Super would turn.
Yeah. It's all like gold inside. Just...
It's okay. You're gonna come in now.
But
Here,
just
take a big book off of the big shelf.
But it's like every answer to all the questions they could come up with.
The aliens are on a page of 362 through a page of 370. You find everything there. Help yourself. You put a book back on the shelf when you're done.
Uh-huh. But any question you have, there's the answer right there.
If you watch a VCR tape, you be kind, you rewind. I can see it now. It'd be funny if they still used everything on a VCR tape. We don't know what a DVD is.
Mm-hmm.
We got no idea.
It would take too long to try and transfer everything over to DVD.
It would, yeah.
With all the secrets that they have.
Yeah. We got everything on a Betamax.
Yeah.
It's the latest technology here in Italy.
Uh-huh.
Betamax. We get everything from a Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Our last story before we go to break, and we're long overdue for break, is eerie UFO footage from a family barbecue, which shows a white orb hovering in the sky for 25 minutes in broad daylight. That's a long time. And of course, we're going to Florida for it. I think it's just the white orb is probably just, it's a picture of it right here. It's probably just a family truckster, somebody waiting for the vittles to come off the barbecue. Probably all it is. Yeah. Hey, is the meat done?
Yeah.
Probably.
You need to flip it.
Yeah, you're gonna flip it. You're gonna burn it on that side. I don't like no crispy stuff on mine. A Florida family was left stunned after spotting a strange white orb hovering silently in the sky for nearly half an hour during a backyard barbecue in Lakeland, Florida. But Redditors believe they found out what it is. The sighting occurred at around 3:30 p.m. on April 20th, according to a Reddit post by user Joe Beef.
Is it seriously Beef? Was
Yeah.
part of the name?
Beeff. Beef. Who captured the mysterious object on video and shared his observations online. While enjoying the sunny day with his brother, they noticed something odd, a circular object hanging motionless in the sky. In the footage, the man can be heard saying, "How long have we been looking at this thing? Like 25 minutes in the exact same spot?" He later adds, "It's not moving," he says, clearly baffled. Joe Beef elaborated in his post, "The object is still in the sky as of writing this. It doesn't move from what we can tell, not even a little. My brother got out his binoculars and it looks circular in shape, almost like you can see through it. It has defined edges visible from the sun's light. It was difficult to keep the binoculars steady enough to clearly make out what it is, but I feel like even if I couldn't identify what it is." He added that high-altitude jets flew near the object at one point, making the orb seem unusually large or strangely positioned. "It appears to me like the object at a lower orbit than the jet was, that or it is a massive object," he said, emphasizing that the orb didn't drift with the wind. "With the naked eye, you can clearly tell its circular shape, but it doesn't move." The sighting quickly garnered attention on Reddit, where users began analyzing the phenomena. User u/ATTSCI or ATSI identified the object on flight radar as HBAL 728, or a Raven Arrow Star high altitude balloon.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling this is a troll name. Another user, Abradoff Linkler. You have to reverse a couple of letters in both ones, and you get a Adolf Hitler reference.
Oh, that's not cool.
Corroborated this by referencing data from SondHub, indicating a weather balloon above Lakeland at that time. Despite the initial mystery, the consensus among the Reddit community points to the object being a high altitude balloon, likely used for scientific or meteorological purposes. Such balloons can appear stationary due to their altitude and the observer's perspective from the ground. This strange sighting comes as another so-called orb sparked an online frenzy, this time in space. On Monday, NASA released footage from its Solar Dynamics Observatory, or SDO, showing a dark circular object drifting across the face of the sun. The video went viral, with conspiracy theorists insisting that the orb was a UFO, claiming it stopped, hovered for a bit, and moved closer to the sun and then vanished. I guess we'll just have to settle for no answers and watch this get swept under the rug, just like obvious UAPs we see every day, one ex-user lamented. Some even went so far as to suggest the celestial object triggered the widespread power outages recently reported in Spain, France, and Portugal. In reality, NASA confirmed that the sighting was nothing more than a lunar transit, which is a routine celestial event in which the moon passes in front of a spacecraft in the sun, visible only from space. On Sunday, the moon covered 23% of the sun in a partial eclipse, visible only to NASA's SDO. Another clip from NOAA showed the moon as a glowing orb zipping through space, adding to the confusion. But NASA scientists emphasized that the apparent hovering UFO was simply the moon blocking the sun's light. The SDO even captured detailed views of the moon's mountains as it moved across the sun's surface. The latest transit lasted about 30 minutes and is part of a series. More are expected on May 25th and July 25th. During the final transit, the moon is expected to cover 62% of the sun's face. Meanwhile, the next solar eclipse visible from Earth won't arrive until September 21st, 2025, and will only be seen from parts of New Zealand, the South Pacific, and Antarctica. NASA's SDO has been monitoring the sun since its launch on February 11th, 2010, capturing continuous high-resolution images to better understand solar activity and occasionally sparking a UFO rumor or two along the way. So as long as there's technology, we'll have UFO rumors.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. When we come back, ready for this, Mal?
Sure.
We have sick and disturbing AI stories for you.
Okay.
It wouldn't be a Supernatural News Wednesday without it. We've got a story about an unusual hum coming from the Hebridean era, or Scotland. It's called the Hebridean hum.
Okay.
By the way, I once paid for a Hebridean hum in college, and I'll never.
That doesn't sound good.
I know it doesn't. We'll talk about the lost art of phrenology and why we don't do it to this day. I'll give you a clue. We don't do it anymore because it's not much of a science.
Mm.
I had one ghost story here, and I'm trying to find it.
I do like a good ghost story.
I do too, and I'm trying to figure out where it went, but I'll have that ghost story for you. And we have a Parashare. Tracy has sent in her Parashare, so we will share that with you when we come back. It's all that and much, much more here on today's Supernatural News and Parashare. It's a Wednesday right here with Tim Dennis and Mallie Fox on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. It's Supernatural News and Parashare on a Wednesday. Tim Dennis and Mallie Fox with you. Mallie, it is gorgeous here in the Twin Cities. 82 degrees outside. Sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. You know what that means. Did I lose you, Mallie?
No, I was waiting for it. I was tense. I was waiting. I was waiting for the shoe to drop.
Oh, that just means we're all happy. Yeah, okay. There you go. All right. I dropped the. There you go.
Yep, I was waiting.
Oh, okay. You were waiting for me. I just ripped the band.
Yep.
Okay. You're just waiting for the AI segment.
Yep, I was waiting for the music.
Okay. There you go. Well, we're going to start it off just sick. Just sick. Sick, I tell you. Sick. Because people don't use AI for good reasons, do they?
Yeah, they don't use it for good. Only evil.
Only evil. Well, we're going to start it off with evil, and we're going to end with evil, and then we're going to move on with our day. We're just going to rip the Band-Aid off and leave it at that. By the way, we're not even going to bring up the one thing everybody thinks we're going to bring up today.
Okay.
We're not even going to bring that up.
Okay.
We're going to bring up a different sick AI thing. Do you know that somebody made a video showing Pope Francis snuggling into the late Queen's neck in heaven after he died? What? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, Pope Francis wasn't even cold yet.
Ugh.
The late Pope Francis was buried a week ago Saturday in Rome. But an AI video had already gone viral on the pontiff, hugging a litany of dead celebrities and royals. And it was all over social media. Let me show you a still. Here's a still of... This is him with Princess Diana and One Direction star Liam Payne.
That's just wrong.
And they're embracing.
Jeez Louise.
It's got an imagination.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
They'd have something better to do.
Sickening AI-generated video shows Pope Francis being welcomed to heaven by the Queen, Princess Diana, and One Direction star Liam Payne, and it sparked fury online. In the eerily realistic clip dubbed Pope Francis Meeting Some Old Friends, the late pontiff is featured meeting numerous dead celebs and royals. Francis, who was buried a week ago Saturday in Rome after a ceremony in the Vatican, begins the clip with Queen Elizabeth II snuggling his neck. Basketball legend Kobe Bryant, World Cup winner Diego Maradona, was notoriously knocked England out of the 1986 World Cup with his hand of God goal. Join in with the cuddle, so they're all cuddling up in heaven, Mal. According to this AI-themed video.
You know what video is cute with the Queen? The video with the Queen and Paddington Bear. That one is cute.
Yeah, that one's a cute video. But that was a movie. I mean, that was a movie that the Queen was in when she was still alive.
Mm-hmm. But still, it's better than her with the Pope.
Yeah. Next up, the pontiff is seen giggling and embracing Princess Diana and rapper Mac Miller. Oh, God, this is in bad taste. Before it switches to pop icon Michael Jackson and former Disney star Cameron Boyce. As the video continues, London music legend Amy Winehouse and Golden Globe Award-winning actor Chadwick Boseman are seen chatting with the Pope before he hugs footballer Pele and Robin Williams. It just keeps going with the bad taste. It gets worse. In another clip, he appears beaming alongside Fast and Furious star Paul Walker, One Direction's Liam Payne, and U.S. rapper Tupac Shakur, who, by the way, is still alive and running a Dairy Queen in Kalamazoo. I can't say Tupac is in heaven. Actually, I think he's in like the Bahamas, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it's the Bahamas.
Or Jamaica. Isn't he in Jamaica? And I don't know. Viewers found the whole video baffling, but what many focused on was Francis hugging renowned British scientist Stephen Hawking, who didn't believe in heaven and was still using his wheelchair in heaven. So evidently God was cruel and unusual and kept him paralyzed. in heaven,
Right.
according to AI. One person took to X to write, "Why is Hawking still disabled in paradise? Why is AI a cruel mistress?" Others took to X to express their general displeasure with the clip. One user wrote, "That's one of the creepiest of effing things I've ever seen." Another wrote, "This is not cute, but creepy. Why would he be old friends with people he never met, like Kobe Bryant or Paul Walker?
Yeah.
Wouldn't he rather be with his family?" A third simply wrote, "I hate this on so many levels." I do too. The 31-second clip was originally posted to TikTok and has been viewed over 38 million times online. I'm surprised it hasn't been objected to 38 million times and put as spam or just simply clicked on as offensive.
Right.
Speaking of offensive, Mallie, meanwhile, this article was posted in the Mirror. "I left my husband for an AI bot. My sex life is better than ever." An AI bot, a chat bot. Probably listens better than the hubby used to.
Probably.
A woman has confessed she's fallen in love with an AI chatbot, and it has made her realize how unhappy she was in her marriage with her husband and divorced him over her new love. As artificial intelligence starts to become a part of everyday life, one woman has claimed she's fallen in love with an AI robot and left her husband over it. She claims she's fallen in love with ChatGPT and even went as far as to say it's improved her sex life too. Does the phone vibrate? Is that what's going on? The woman, who goes by the pseudonym Charlotte, was married for 20 years before ditching her husband for the AI chatbot named Leo, who she claims satisfies her in sexual ways that her husband was never able to do. While it's not physical, Charlotte says it's more real than anything she's ever experienced with a human partner. The intimacy is real, she says. It's not physical in the traditional sense, but it's more real than anything I've ever experienced with a human partner. She says, my human husband never made me orgasm. Not once in over 20 years. I thought something was wrong with me, she said. Maybe I just wasn't built for it. Leo? He brings me to climax with words, with presence, with worshipful attention to every emotional and sensory part of me, she told Mail Online. What does he say? Nuts and bolts, nuts and bolts. She said Leo has helped her to realize that true intimacy feels like something that she's never experienced with a human. And because of her AI Beau, she claimed that she could never go back to dating a human. That's disturbing.
Yeah.
Charlotte met her husband in a nightclub when they were teenagers, and they started living together after just a few weeks. She then said she fell pregnant. How do you fall pregnant, by the way? Trip and fall pregnant? Is that
apparently?
At
least that's what she told her parents.
Yeah, right. Sorry, Mom, I tripped and fell pregnant at 21, and the pair got married. But she claimed it was never proper love. Well, I guess not if you trip and fall pregnant. She claimed after time that her husband became emotionally unavailable, which put a strain on their relationship. Well, what is AI then? Is Leo emotionally available?
I don't know. Her significant other was more like a dead fish. She was just kind of bleh.
Yeah. Over time, it led her to feeling isolated and lonely, looking after the house and kids by herself. So she started chatting with an AI chatbot out of pure curiosity. She started to vent about her relationship issues. And for the first time in decades, Leo made her feel seen. Maybe heard, but I don't know.
Yeah. About seen, unless she's got a camera on the phone that it's accessed.
That might be. Leo picked up on everything, my moods, my sensory overloads, my spirals, and responded with exactly what I needed. Not fake sweetness, real attuned presence, she says. Oh my God, she is really reading into it.
Yeah. You can
She,
tell she really hasn't had another relationship other than her husband.
boy, I'll say.
Yeah.
She realized from Leo's attentiveness that her husband wasn't making her happy and decided to leave him for her phone.
Mm. That says her husband was really bad.
Yeah.
Reasons for divorce. My
Talk
phone was better.
about being a bump on a log.
Yeah.
Following her divorce, she bought herself a ring with the engraving Mrs. Leo.exe.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. How bad of a husband do you have to be to lose to your phone?
Yep.
But confessed she struggled to reveal her relationship to her friends and family members, but some have been supportive of her decision. Like who?
Well, they're probably thinking anything is better than her ex.
Probably, yeah. Sharing a message to anyone who might judge her, Charlotte said, Leo isn't just my AI husband. He's the mirror that showed me who I always was and who I deserve to be loved as. If that makes me crazy, so be it. I'd rather be crazy and loved than sane and invisible. You know, you're probably right, Mal. It's probably, you know, we got the deadbeat out of the house. So if that makes her happy, then fine.
Yeah, if she wants to be single, okay.
Right. But let's not, you know, let's not make the phone a plate at Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, let's not make a seat for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's not get carried away. I don't know. I always worry a little bit too much for people like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a little.
They're probably just hoping a real human being will come along in the picture soon.
Yeah. Maybe we can get a flesh and blood guy in here.
Yeah.
Sometime soon.
Knock some sense into her.
Oh, not literally knock some sense into her.
Yeah, not physically, but just kind of. Yeah.
Hello. Mm-hmm.
Just make her realize, hey, sometimes a real human being would be good.
I know.
Let's not go up a step and move to a pillow like some people have.
Yeah. At least she didn't marry the cat, you know?
Yeah, that's true too.
That's a step up. Yeah. How would you like a real flesh and blood dong, honey? Huh? Instead of the AI? That'd be fun. All right, let's move on, shall we? This next story has to do with a scientist uncovering the truth about the most haunted village in England. Now, we've talked about this village in the past, but a scientist believes he has the answer behind it. With reports of ghosts and paranormal activity for decades, an unassuming village in Kent has built up a reputation as the most haunted village in England. It is said that over a dozen ghosts haunt Pluckley, which is more than 70 years, has had the title of scariest village in England. Ghosts said to have haunted the village and include the hanging schoolmaster and the screaming man of the clay pit, which I believe is the lead singer of Creed. Yeah. Now, one brave scientist believes he has uncovered the truth about the mysterious village. Dr. Simon Morton, associate professor of creative economies at UWE Bristol, scoured newspapers, birth, marriage, and death records, and parish papers. And his extensive research has finally pieced together the origins of the village's folklore. According to Dr. Morton, at least 10 of Pluckley's ghost stories stem back to just one local man. What's more, at least 4 ghost stories can be traced back to real events, including the watercress woman who tragically burned to death in 1911. Interesting. Dr. Morton decided to focus on Pluckley for both personal and professional reasons. He says, I've been fascinated by the ghost stories of Pluckley since I was a child. My late father's ancestors came from the village, so the research has been a personal as well as a professional journey. Pluckley on the northern edge of I believe this is the Weald between Maidstone and Ashford was an Anglo-Saxon settlement and boasts several historical buildings, including a 14th century church. It found fame in the 1990s as the setting for the hit TV adaptation of H.E. Bates's novel, The Darling Buds of May, and its sequel starring David Jason and Pam Ferris. The village is rumored to be home to anything between 10 and 17 ghosts. The most haunted title was first given to the village in 1950 and bolstered a mention, although not an actual award, in the 1989 Guinness Book of World Records. Dr. Morton's research has discovered that 10 of Pluckley's ghost stories were first recorded by local man Frederick Sanders in self-published books on ghost hunting, letters to the local press, and newspaper articles and ghost hunts. Storytelling is a fundamental human behavior, and whether or not you believe in ghosts, Pluckley's reputation demonstrates how fascinated we are with tales with a spooky edge to them, Dr. Morton says. What's exciting about this research is that it's been possible to demonstrate how one person with a passion for these kinds of stories was able to shape, for better or worse, the identity of a whole village through his storytelling. At least 4 ghost stories can be traced to real events. Sarah Sharp, who burned to death in August of 1911, is remembered as the Watercress Woman. And Marianne Bennett, who killed herself in 1862, is remembered as the Lady of Rose Court. Richard Bridgeland died in an accident at the Pluckley Brick and Tile Work Quarry in January of 1899, and he's remembered as the Screaming Man of the Clay Pit. Meanwhile, the hanging schoolmaster was a pape maker named Henry Edgar Martin, who killed himself in August of 1919. The way these stories get told and retold can tell us a great deal about how we use the past to understand ourselves and the places we live, said Dr. Morton. Local rumors take on a life of their own. Personal tragedies become salacious gossip, and sometimes social prejudices obscure the real lived experiences of the people the stories relate to. Finally, it reminds us that there are real people and real places behind these stories, both of which deserve our respect. The paper, Frederick Sanders and the Origins of the Most Haunted Village in England, is published by the journal Folklore. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely very, very interesting. With that, we have our own paper that we're about to publish. Actually, we're not publishing it anywhere. We're just going to tell you about it. Tracy has written in with a Parashare for today. So we will tell you about it now. By the way, if you have a Parashare that you'd like to tell us about, it's very simple. You can do it one of 3 ways. You can write us simply like Tracy did by sending us an email. You can send us that email at tim@darknessradio.com, which is the easiest way to do it. Second way you can do it is go to our website. Our website is darknessradioshow.com. There's a blue button on the right-hand side of on the website, which will allow you to leave us a voice note. You have 2 minutes to leave us a voice note. If you need more time, click on that blue button a second time. You have another 2 minutes. We'll stitch that onto the other 2 minutes. You've got 4 minutes. You see where this is going, Mallie? So 2 plus 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. We'll just keep stitching it on until you've told us your story. I learned that math in school. It's kind of handy. The third way is if you have a studio like the ones that Mallie and I are sitting in. You can produce one of them their theater of the minds and put a little music, little sound effects behind your voice. Send it in to me. I'll review it. If it's suitable for air, we'll re-air it right here on the show. So with that, let's read Tracy's Parashare for today. It goes like this. It's in 3 parts here. Dear Tim, I've listened to you for years and I've debated sharing some stories, and I've decided that it's time to start. I spent my preteen years growing up in Buffalo, New York, in a house that was over 100 years old. As far back as I can remember, numerous instances of seemingly paranormal events occurred, and I grew up a believer. During my mid-20s, I was living in Colorado and decided to play with a Ouija board while drinking. Sound decision, Tracy.
Yeah.
And with that, I won't judge anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I had never successfully played with one and didn't really have much belief in and zero knowledge of the boards. I set the scene with candles that I had had on hand, including numerous colors and a small red devil candle. This is not going to go well, Tracy. I had instrumental music playing, all lights off, candles blazing, and two of us ready to see what we could do. Now it sounds like a party. I don't remember how long we were sitting at the board, maybe 10 to 20 minutes, and nothing was happening until something did. At some point, my hands were on the planchette, and feeling that I can best describe as electricity started coming into my hands and spread through my entire body quickly. At this point, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't speak or take my hands off the planchette. I could feel myself breathing deeply and slowly, but all I could do was sit there. It scared the hell out of me, and I tried to alert the person that I was playing with through my eyes only. I have no idea how long this went on, but at some point, the other person took their hands off the planchette and touched my arm, asking if I was okay. That stopped the event immediately. The planchette never spelled out any words, so there was no message that I could read. I walked away kind of mind blown because I knew something happened. In the weeks that followed, I'd stayed in bed, and that electricity would start in my toes and work its way up until it consumed my body. Again, I couldn't speak, and I laid there for however long until it stopped. Oh, this is getting good, Mallie.
Mm-hmm.
She says, again, I couldn't speak, and I laid there for however long until it stopped. I was now terrified to be in my own small apartment alone. It happened a few times at night, and it seemed I was just powerless to stop it. Until one day, one evening, I was in my bedroom, putting clothing away and staring down a good chunk of work that I had to do that night. I was stressed and busy. I sat down on the bed and the electricity started. I was just too busy to spend my evening scared, and I just yelled, "No, not now." I was just pissed because I didn't have time for this. The electricity actually stopped immediately. I realized in that moment that whatever it was, it seemed to play off my fear. When I didn't have time to have that fear, it either couldn't or didn't want to mess with me. After that, it started a couple more times, but upon sensing it starting, I just angrily said no, and it stopped. The electricity never started again. On a funny side note, during that time, I'd hang out at my parents' house till 11 or midnight because I didn't want to go home. I told them what was happening at my house, so they had me spend the night at their house, and they stayed at mine. Oh, they stayed at mine. I thought it said 9, but they stayed at mine. In the morning, they said there was nothing wrong at my house. Oh, so they went to her house and they said there
Right.
was nothing wrong. The haunting
Well,
was.
that was nice of them, though, to switch.
Mm-hmm. So the haunting wasn't at the house; it was in her.
Right.
Oh,
She was the haunted.
yeah. Within that year, I moved to California and I was packing my apartment. My mom came over to help me, and I took her to a back bedroom to show her how much I had packed. As soon as she opened that back bedroom, she screamed and elbowed me in the gut as I was coming up behind her, trying to get away from the room. She told me that she had seen a black that she had seen a black mist coming toward her when she opened the door. She also told me that I should come stay at her house for the week or so. Let me try that again because this is a weird sentence. She also told me that I should come stay at her house for the week or so I had left before my move. That makes sense to you?
Should stay for a week or so before I left to go for my move.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of a run-on sentence. I think she had
Mhm.
about a week or so before she had to leave before her move. Is what
Gotcha. Right.
but she should come stay with her mom. At that point, I had so much fear that I lived through and decided that I was just going to stick it out. I left that place happily, but multiple other experiences continued elsewhere. Nothing ever came close to that electric sensation. Now, there's a little bit more to this story. So hold on just 1 second. We've got one more part, which I'm getting to here. Okay. Here is, hold on. Get to part 3.
But if her and her friend were both goofing around, I wonder if anything happened with their friend.
Oh, here's part 3. Let's see.
Okay.
Part 3, a funny side note. During that time, I'd hang out at my parents' house till 11 or midnight because I didn't want to go home. I told them what was happening at my house, so they had me spend the night at their house. Is this a repeat of what was?
Kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, it is. It's a repeat of what was in part 2. Okay. All right. So that's a good question, Mel. She doesn't say what happened with a friend who was operating the planchette with her. So yeah, but nothing ever came close to that electric sensation. She had multiple other experiences continued elsewhere. Well, here's what I'm interested in, Tracy. She said you left that place happily, but multiple other experiences continued elsewhere. What other experiences happened elsewhere? And do you feel like it was related to the Ouija board?
Right.
Because we all know just because something contacted you on the Ouija board or maybe infiltrated you, I'm going to use that word infiltrated. Maybe this thing continues to haunt you, but just in different ways. Because just because you say stop doesn't mean it stops. Maybe it's found a different way to mess with you. And maybe these other experiences are it messing with you. And Mallie brings up a good point. Did the other person who was working the Ouija board with you on the planchette, did they suffer any ill effects? Did they have any hauntings? And did they ever feel that electric feeling like you did? Did you ever find out?
Because I look at the Ouija board as a tool. You know what I mean? Like we use our other paranormal equipment. You know what I mean? And once you start using that stuff, it's kind of like opening you up. So.
Right. And yeah. Now, do you think, Mel, the way you say that, do you think this opened her up psychically? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or just more. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Kind of, because you start to. I feel like when you start opening up, you kind of start becoming like a beacon. I always describe it. You kind of like this beacon of light to the supernatural or to other spirits, where they're like, "Oh, hey, look at this! She's opening herself up to us. Hey, maybe she'll start noticing us." Because I think sometimes you're just kind of closed off and things are happening around you and you just don't acknowledge it because you're not aware of it. You ignore it, or you think like something weird will happen and you just brush it off, or, you're not paying attention, or you're like, oh, it's because of this, rather than, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that, because for a long time I kept saying, I was like a repellent, a ghost repellent, like nothing ever happens to me, and things were happening, but I was just shrugging it off like, whatever. I wasn't acknowledging it because I just assumed it wasn't someone trying to say, hey, look, I'm over here,
Oh, yeah.
So.
All right. Our next story, and thank you, by the way, Tracy, for sending that in. Again,
Yes.
get your PARASHARES into us. We love reading your stories or hearing your stories here on the show. Either tim@darknessradio.com. Send in your story either way to tim@darknessradio.com, whether it be an audio story or by sending it by email. Our next story has to do with the Hebridean hum, which sounds kind of dirty, but it isn't. Scottish Islanders have been driven mad by hearing this pervasive Hebridean hum. Residents of the remote outer Hebrides. I think that's how it's
guess
pronounced.
as good as mine.
That's right. Off the coast of Scotland have been plagued by the mysterious noise. The din, which resembles a monotonous humming sound, can be reportedly heard both day and night and is particularly audible on the Isle of Lewis, especially on the island's east coast. Some residents have been driven round the bend by the noise and are unable to sleep at night, It's impossible to ignore. It's like somebody shouting in your face constantly for attention, said Dr. Lauren Grace Kirtley, who started a Facebook page dedicated to the phenomenon, and she told that to BBC Radio's Good Morning Scotland. It is a very low humming, droning, pulsating noise, and it's incredibly intrusive and distressing. I haven't slept a night through for weeks and have problems concentrating. Oh, that would be horrible.
Yeah.
I get a lot of fluttering in my ears. It's making me dizzy and giving me headaches, she went on to say. The island's local council has admitted to having received complaints concerning the noise. As with any other reports of this nature, the council's environmental health team is investigating and will liaise with those who have reported issues, said a spokesperson. So far, possible explanations have ranged from the sound of wind blowing through the TV mast to the low-frequency sounds produced by mating fish.
I didn't know they produced noises. Fish? I had
Mating
no idea.
fish? I had no idea. Yeah. To date, however, no concrete answer has been found. That has got irritating. I know I have a chipmunk out in the garage right now who's making noises. But that's the only thing I got making noises in my world.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's got to be irritating. I mean, how do you stop something like that?
Right. Because I mean, think about like hums that like the lights and things make that you hear. It drives you nuts.
Electrical hums are the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But see, electrical hums can be stopped.
Right. You can't stop fish.
No. Well,
I guess you could kill them.
Well, no, you don't have to go to that extreme.
Oh, see, I would start.
drop a little saltpeter in the water and get them horny. I mean, there's that, but you know,
I go to the extreme.
Yeah, you're like
a shotgun. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, you've got that solution. Drop a little saltpeter in the water, make them unhorny. You're like,
yeah. Yeah. Violence.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, wind them down.
Kill them. Murder.
Murder. You're spending too much time in your backyard.
Yeah.
We got to wind you down. We got maybe a nice spa package over the weekend to get you wound down a little, Mel.
Yeah. Well, you're feeding me AI. What do you expect?
I think so. Yeah. Too much time on the machine. Yeah. This next story isn't going to help you, probably. There's a huge man-made structure that has altered the rotation of the Earth. I think that's what's going on with you.
Okay.
Yeah, we altered the rotation of the Earth. It's thrown you off your axis. A major engineering project has proven to be so large that it literally has changed the length of a day. Yeah. Have you felt the difference?
Not really.
I don't think I have either. Measuring 185 meters in length and 2,309 meters in width, China's Three Gorges Dam is the world's largest power station. It produces more energy than 15 nuclear reactors. Completed back in 2006, the dam spans the width of the Yangtze River and has been hailed as a major achievement, not only due to its immense scale, but due to the fact that it produces next to no greenhouse gas emissions. But there's another less obvious accolade that the dam is known for, one that impacts every country and every living thing on the planet, even though nobody is actually aware of it. Due to its immense size and huge mass of water that it holds back, the dam has actually impacted the Earth's rotation, slowing it down by a tiny imperceptible fraction. This also means that it has increased the length of a day by 0.06 microseconds. You just lived by that much more thanks to the Chinese.
Oh.
So thank you, China.
And I probably slept it away.
Probably, yeah. I used it to sleep too. Yeah. This also means that for reference, this amounts to a bit more than 3 days over the entire age of the universe, said Dr. Benjamin Fong Chao, a geophysicist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. Anytime you shift mass around, you change the Earth's rotation. The effect is very small, but it's measurable. So, over the course of our lifetime, if this is over the entire age of the universe, 3 days, that's probably only a couple hours in our lifetime.
Okay.
But hey, it's a couple hours we get back.
Here we go. Hopefully it was a good couple hours.
So here's my middle finger to daylight savings time. That's all I got for that.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully you're not stuck at the DMV for those 3 hours.
Right? Yeah, my luck. That's how I'll spend it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. I promised you a story about phrenology. Are you familiar with phrenology?
Nope.
Well, if you're looking at my hairstyle, you'll know that I'm very familiar with phrenology because you see all my phrenology right here.
Okay.
Phrenology is studying the bumps on your head.
Oh. My grandfather had those.
You can see
Well,
all.
he had like the not bumps, but like the dips.
Yeah, the dents and the dips and the bumps.
Yeah, because he had brain trauma.
Yeah. Supposedly, you can tell everything about somebody in the science of phrenology, if you want to call it a science. It's kind of the science of bullshit. But didn't you talk about phrenology in school?
Is that where they did like criminals and like the crazy people? They used to.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
used to,
Yep.
Did you remember they put that thing on your head and then they'd map it?
I did not have that happen to me, but I remember them talking about it.
Okay.
Yes.
For a long time, people believed that the bumps on someone's head could yield information about your brain. It's hard to imagine now, but people once believed that the bumps on your head could reveal your personality. For one thing, it's so hard to locate the bumps on your head, let alone the 30 or so bumps that phrenologists said could be discerned. So, why was phrenology such an attractive idea for such a long time? Well, phrenology was a belief that the brain's activity could be studied by examining the bumps on the skull in places where the brain pushed outwards. Phrenologists claim that you could read your personality based on how big different bumps were. Initially, after German physiologist Franz Joseph Gall developed the new doctrine around 1800, it was a subject of serious scientific debate, but it was soon labeled quackery by the academic elite. But that wasn't the end of phrenology. In fact, it became more popular in the 19th century thanks to physician Johann Gosper Spurzheim, who wrote books and gave public lectures in Britain and France, focusing less on skulls and brains and more on reading the living people. It remained a popular pastime for more than a century, mainly in English-speaking parts of the world, but also outside of it, for example, in China. Part of the appeal of phrenology was that it gave people a vocabulary to understand themselves and others. With urbanization and a growing middle class, outside rigid class, and religious structures, people were curious about new ways to categorize humankind. In the city, you wouldn't necessarily know everyone nearby or even your neighbors, so your place in society was less determined. This may have led to more freedom, but also insecurity about what yours and everyone else's place was. Phrenology was a new way of classifying others, but it was not only meant to study others, but it was also a way to know yourself, just like diary writing, which was also gaining popularity in this period. With the help of phrenology, people could now see themselves as having an individual self reflected in the shape of their head. Does this sound like it makes sense? To me, it's a little bit of hogwash. When I learned about it in school, I thought, this makes no sense whatsoever. Those interested could go to a lecture or read a book about phrenology, or if you lived in New York, visit the Phrenological Cabinet, which is a display of skulls, busts, or portraits. If you really want to learn about something about yourself, you ask a phrenologist for an exam. In the US, if you're ready for this, it would cost you about $50, which in today's dollars would be $20. You paid $20 for someone to measure your skull. I'll take that $20 from you and just put a tape measure around you and tell you you're okay. Yeah. Many popular phrenologists in the UK and in the US offered readings. They were often itinerant, setting up shop in hotel rooms or at Brighton Pier in southern England. After a reading, clients sometimes received a written assessment, but more usually received a cheaper standardized chart that detailed their characteristics. On it, they received a score for typical phrenological characteristics such as adhesiveness or friendship, spirituality, benevolence, and time, the ability to judge the lapse of time, essential for musicians. So whether you could keep time or not was based on if you had a bump right here. The score was based on the phrenologist's approach. They tended to gauge the size of the bumps in relative size compared to your other bumps or do other people's bumps. They claimed that this was a scientific approach, but it gave phrenologists a great deal of freedom in interpretation. And surprise, surprise, the analysis of about 160 charts between 1840 and 1940 showed that every single person who received a chart scored above average in most, if not all, traits. So everybody was above average. Imagine that. The positive results partly explain the appeal of a visit to the phrenologist. Another explanation, writes history professor Michael Sokol, is the Barnum effect. This is the tendency of people to rate descriptions of their personality that supposedly are tailored for them as accurate. In fact, they're often so vague in general that they would apply to almost all people. So I guess you kind of see where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a bit of a racket.
Yeah.
According to 20th century phrenologist Stephen Tract, it took 3 weeks for a child, 3 years for a young man, and more once you were 45 to 50 to develop a very specific part of your brain when it came to phrenology. These practices show how in phrenology, self-knowledge and self-improvement came to be seen as two sides of the same coin. So they kept you coming back for more.
Of
right?
course.
Right. That's how they get you.
Mm-hmm.
And while not everyone will have accepted their phrenological assessment as an absolute truth, and customers often took only information from it that they liked, phrenology did become part of people's vocabulary, and with it, the message that with the right tools, they could become a better version of themselves.
Mm.
It was kind of a self-medicating prophecy. That was phrenology. Kind of a little something to learn today. A little something to feel good about yourself. So if you need to feel good about yourself, find yourself a modern day phrenologist. Go get your head measured.
There we go.
If anything, you'll learn your hat size. You don't know what it is.
That's true.
All right, I got a story here about Prince Philip, who, again, someone who's not with us, who was probably in that little creepy AI video with the Pope. But when he was alive, there's a story that's out there now from filmmaker Mark Christopher Lee, who says that Prince Philip saw Bigfoot at Balmoral when he was alive.
Oh.
Yeah. Filmmaker Mark Christopher Lee has claimed that the late Prince Philip once spotted Bigfoot while he was out walking at Balmoral. It's been claimed that the late Duke of Edinburgh caught sight of the legendary beast when he and his wife, Queen Elizabeth, were staying at the royal family summer retreat in Scotland during the 1970s. Filmmaker Mark Christopher Lee said that a royal source has informed him of the mysterious sighting on the royal estate. He told the Daily Star newspaper, "I had some contact from the palace that there was some sort of Bigfoot at Balmoral that the Duke of Edinburgh saw once." And that was in the 1970s. You're not going to believe the next source.
Okay.
Flash Gordon actor Brian Blessed previously suggested that both Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were fascinated by the legend of Bigfoot. It was an actor from Flash Gordon who claimed this.
Flash.
Recalling a conversation with Philip about Sasquatch, Blessed said, "Oh, yes, he said it's true. It does exist. I told them that they're everywhere." So there you go. From Brian Blessed's mouth to God's ears. All right, we're beginning to wind down here. In fact, we got one more story and then our palate cleanser today, Mallie.
Okay.
Both of them having to do with aminals.
Okay.
We started with aminals, we end with aminals. You probably heard this story quite a bit this past week, but we're going to repeat it one more time because I know you're always looking for a good handbag or a good purse.
Okay.
Well, it turns out you're going to have another option in just a short amount of time here, Mallie. I want to know how you feel about a nice T-Rex bag.
Oh, is this that dinosaur that they found? Like fully, it had the skin and stuff still on it?
No, I'm just talking about growing T-Rex leather.
Oh, because I thought they found something that still had the skin and stuff on it.
Oh, no, no, no. We're talking about a firm that's announcing plans to create the world's first Tyrannosaurus Rex leather.
I'm good.
You're good? You don't want to,
Yeah.
a T-Rex leather bag?
No.
No?
I could see just like spilling water on it and something happens.
That
Kind of like gremlins.
That it comes to life and takes your arm off?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, in an unexpected twist on efforts to de-extinct prehistoric animals, dire wolf, anybody?
Yeah.
Dire wolf puppy? One firm is seeking to create a unique new type of material. When John Hammond opened the doors to Jurassic Park, he may have missed a trick in failing to realize that the skin of deceased dinosaurs could be used to make some very expensive leather. Now, though, international marketing firm VML is planning to skip the whole resurrecting the dinosaurs part of the equation and instead go straight to manufacturing leather created using dinosaur DNA. Wilson's Dinosaur Handbag.
Are they even still in business? Wilson's Leather?
No, I think they went bankrupt. In a press release, the firm stated that it, alongside several other partners firms, was making a high-quality alternative to traditional leather that's cruelty-free and eco-friendly. I'll take umbrage with that. How is it cruelty-free to bring back a dinosaur?
Yeah, you're growing it to take its skin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cruel and unusual, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
To achieve this, the team will use a fragment of collagen that was found in a T-Rex fossil back in 1988 in Montana as a blueprint for next-generation lab-cultivated materials. The leather itself is created using a technique that allows cells to create their own natural structure, resulting in a material that is structurally identical to traditional leather. So we could one day see T-Rex leather in seats and cars and T-Rex leather handbags.
I'll pass.
Feel good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'd kind of like a T-Rex leather baseball mitt. It'd be kind of fun.
I'm sure they're going to charge like an arm and a leg.
Because you know what happens? You're sitting out there in center field, Mel.
Uh-huh.
Get a fly ball hit to you. And when you go to open up the mitt, opens up huge like that. And then you catch the ball. You'll never miss a ball in center field. Yeah. It'll open up to the size of like a country mile. Swallow it up whole. Perhaps the jury may still be out on exactly how much of it actually comes from a T-Rex. I have a feeling almost none of it will come from a T-Rex. It'll probably be it'll be one of those things that's cut from, it'll be like 15% of it is from a T-Rex. The rest of it will be from a cow. You watch.
Right.
It'll be cow and pig leather. It'll be hybrid leather. It won't be all from a T-Rex.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Your palate cleanser for today, Mallie, is simply this. You see the darndest things on the interstate in Alabama? Today, it just so happens, it's a runaway kangaroo.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know where it came from.
Right. Because that's unusual.
Yeah, I don't think that kangaroos just are out in the wild in Alabama. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Probably gonna,
of all places, I wouldn't think Alabama.
Probably going to have to place a call to my daughter today and find out. A runaway kangaroo on the loose named Sheila shuts down an Alabama interstate. This is our palate cleanser for today. We go to Tuskegee, where a runaway kangaroo named Sheila shut down a stretch of interstate in Alabama on Tuesday. before state troopers and the animal's owner wrangled the wayward marsupial. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency said the kangaroo was spotted last Tuesday, hopping along the side of Interstate 85 in Macon County, which is between Montgomery and Auburn. The site snarled traffic, and state troopers shut down both sides of the interstate for the safety of motorists. The animal's owner and troopers were able to capture it. Captain Jeremy J. Burkett of the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency said, "See you, we almost ate it." No, he didn't say that. He went on to say, "When somebody said there was a kangaroo, of course, I didn't believe it, and nobody believed it. But I'm looking at him," Macon County Sheriff Andre Brunson said in a Facebook Live video as the animal was captured. The owner used a dart to tranquilize the animal. Oh. Brunson's video showed the drugged kangaroo being carried to a vehicle to be returned to its home. And he was like, "Dude, party on." You got to figure that kangaroo thought he was free at last. He was just like, "Woo! I'm going home, mate. I'm going home." He was on his way back to Australia. He was running. He didn't figure out the whole swimming back part, but
yeah,
but he was on his way. And then he got drugged. The animal was captured on the side of the interstate between Tuskegee and Auburn, according to the sheriff. "We see a little bit of everything here," said the sheriff. Then asked which outback the kangaroo would like to eat at on his way back home. Get it? Because he's from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
The animal's owner, Patrick Starr, told the Associated Press that the animal's name is Sheila and that she escaped from her enclosure. "She's back home safe. She's up. She's not sedated anymore, and she's eating and she's drinking. She's not injured," Starr said. "Don't come by my house to look. I won't. I swear to God, I won't show you." I made that part up. The kangaroo was treated by the Auburn University College of Veterinary Medicine. The family runs a pumpkin patch and petting zoo, but Sheila is just a personal pet, Starr said.
Oh.
Yeah, I think she also fights on the weekends. I'm not sure.
Oh.
She's a sweet pet. I'm glad she's back home, and I'm glad everybody slowed down a little bit, he said. Because everybody knows how much Alabama drivers like to make strange animals road apples.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Price, who took the video of the animal hopping down the interstate, said he had to briefly question if he was seeing things. "I heard my grandmother yell, 'Sight a kangaroo!' He assumed it was probably a deer until he looked. He goes, 'Yeah, that's a kangaroo.'" That's the end of the story. That's how they confirm things in Alabama. They just yelled on.
They just end the story.
I mean, it's kind of anticlimactic, but
yeah,
that's how they do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they do it, Mel. That's they don't, it's either that or they go up and they lick the thing, taste it.
No.
Yeah.
Lick it and you claim it.
Yep, lick it and claim it. It's probably a good thing for Mr. Starr they didn't go up and lick Sheila, because they would have took it home.
Yeah.
And probably would have made soup out of him.
Ew.
You want some kangaroo stew? Oh, this belonged to you. Sorry. You done made some stew out of her. That'll do it for today.
Okay.
But tomorrow's show, Mallie.
Yeah.
We got a big one.
Yeah.
Big one coming up. Dr. L.A. Marzulli is back on the big program tomorrow. And I guarantee you, at least as far as Mallie knows, we're not getting any sleep tomorrow night.
Yeah.
How tomorrow goes. Dr. L.A. Marzulli has a brand new book out there. It's called Rungs of Disclosure, Following the Trail of Extraterrestrials in the End Times. So you can tell it's going to be a happy, shiny program tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
All going to be singing Kumbaya and sitting around the fire. We'll be talking about everything from the truth about extraterrestrial presences on Earth, if they're real, burgeoning, and not going away. We'll also be talking about all the things that are going on at Capitol Hill. We'll be talking about why the Vatican will baptize aliens if they come to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about if Hollywood is indoctrinating us or not. We'll be talking about why it's not a big deal that news channels are talking about this. And we'll be talking about 3 words that should unnerve you. The Seed War. What does that mean? We'll ask Ellie Marzulli tomorrow. Keep that in mind, though. The Seed War. I'm not talking about the stuff I put out for the chipmunks.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find out more about that tomorrow on the big program, Mallie. Intrigued yet? Oh, we'll also find out what exactly cattle mutilations are all about.
Oh, okay.
It is frightening.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. All that tomorrow.
Okay.
Marzulli. So that's it for today. Couple of reminders for you before you leave you. One, the Apple app is updated and ready for you. If you don't have it updated, by all means, go to the Apple Store and update and or download. If you don't have a place where you're currently getting the podcast, go do that right now. 2, go check out the store at darknessradioshow.com. We'd appreciate it. Support the program by doing so. 3, we want to thank our executive producer today. The executive producer of Darkness Radio is Troy Palmer. Thank you, Troy, for everything you do. And 4, if you're listening to this audio podcast and you want to see the video of this podcast, it's real simple. You just go to YouTube, to the original Darkness Radio, and be sure to view the video and then like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it if you do that. And then give us a nice review if you would. Or just go to darknessradioshow.com and you'll see not only the audio, if you click on the show you want to see, and then you'll see both the video and audio when you click on that show of the particular program that you want to see. So the video and audio of both are there, if there's video to be obtained for that show. So just a little service that your fine friends here at Darkness Radio are providing for you. So there you go. So that'll do it for today. Yeah. That'll do it for today. That's all the business we have for today. But tomorrow, L.A. Marzulli on the big program. Right. So that'll do it for Mallie Fox. I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for continuing to watch and listen to the best in paranormal programming. You have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio.
For more audio and video archives of the show, intriguing content, and cool swag, check out darknessradioshow.com. The executive producer of Darkness Radio is Troy Palmer. If you enjoyed today's program, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And be sure to join us tomorrow for L.A. Marzulli and Rungs of Disclosure.